It's a clip from a wildlife camera at our restoration project. And you see mama beaver and a young one biting.
So when you're listening to them, what are you getting a sense of?
They sneeze a lot, they snore, the little ones don't want to sleep.
It feels like your own family sitcom.
There were like beavers sleeping on the microphone. They couldn't leave.
What are the teeth like made of? Because I've heard them described as like iron or things like that.
Yes.
There are iron?
They have a layer of iron, yeah.
My name is Alex and I'm not a biologist. And so on this show, we watch incredible wildlife clips and then bring in experts to actually explain what's going on to people like me. So please welcome Fabian.
Hello, thanks for inviting us. And me.
You're super welcome. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you and why have I brought you here today?
Formally, I'm not a biologist too. Never studied biology, but I'm doing it for a few years now, coming from producing music and using a lot of field recordings. Since 2024 we are doing a low-tech river restoration project in Linz, where we actively work with beavers. Drought prevention is the main goal.
Drought prevention?
This particular creek we are working at already dried out like 3 years ago. The section with beavers never dries out. They basically save the creek every summer.
Wow.
By accident, I discovered the place where the local beaver family in the inner city of Linz at the Danube lives. Beavers are really a wide topic.
Yeah.
It's not just biology and ecology, it's water engineering, social things and politics.
Is that politics within beavers or is it like the politics of people influencing beavers?
The politics of humans.
Yes. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. That always gets in the way of wildlife, doesn't it? Yeah. We're going to watch a clip from the Terramata YouTube channel of some beavers and just tell me what you see is happening and if anything stands out to you about the clip.
So a beaver is entering via the underwater entrance to the lodge and the whole family is there. Oh, there's a lot of grooming, which is a big part of beavers' lives.
Yeah.
The really dense fur has to be groomed a lot. The kids are playing or a little bit of arguing about the stick.
When you say the kids are arguing, it makes me immediately think that maybe beaver life isn't so different from human families.
We're both mammals. It's not that far from beavers to humans, but we don't have the senses. We're really bad when it comes to scent and sound.
But in that clip we just watched, that wasn't a beaver dam we saw, it was the beaver lodge. So what's the difference between these two things?
Oh yeah, that's a common mistake. People think beavers live in their dams. They don't. They really like a dry place to stay. Therefore they dig burrows or they build freestanding lodge. Most of the time you don't see these freestanding lodges, but they just dig.
Oh, interesting.
If it's steeper, they can easily dig in from the water into the soil, and sometimes the roof collapses and they build a new roof of sticks and mud and stones on top of it.
I didn't realize they also burrowed as well.
Yes,
so
a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Okay. So why does a beaver actually build a dam in the first place?
First of all, it's a safety thing, and they regulate the water level so that the entrance to the lodge is always underwater. And of course, transporting logs and stuff is way easier in the water.
I think it's so cool that they maintain that underwater entrance. Like, that would be a great thing for safety. Not many predators, I imagine, can find their way into the lodges.
Yes, predators play actually no role at all when it comes to population dynamics. Since 50 million years, they are regulating their population on their own. They need water, so the habitat is very limited, and they're very territorial, and if there is no space left in a certain area, they get fewer kids.
Wow.
Overpopulation is biologically impossible.
Wow. So what does a beaver sort of, let's say, kingdom actually look like? Like, there are different buildings and stuff, and maybe how does it look with other beaver families in the area?
First of all, if there's a hierarchy, it's more than a matriarchy.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. The main thing is beavers are highly territorial and settled. So you always just got one beaver family in a certain area. At our restoration site, it's a bit more than 2 kilometers of stream. That's a pretty normal size.
Okay.
At the Danube, in the inner city, they got 4.5 kilometers of stream on both sides of the Danube. So it's a pretty large area.
Wow.
And they stay there forever.
Are there multiple different species of beavers, or is it all the same beaver across the world?
No, it's 2 species. It's the North American ones and the European ones. But they can't mix up. They have a different amount of chromosomes.
Oh, wow. That's not the only footage I've got here today. I've got footage that you've brought in as well, which is so awesome of you, and thank you for that. So should we have a look at that, and then you can tell me what this is you've captured and why it's cool footage. We'll start with this clip in black and white first. So this was obviously taken at night. It looks like nearly at midnight or nearly at 11 or 10:30?
10:30, yes.
So are they nocturnal, or are they...
They are nocturnal, yes. This is a clip from a wildlife camera at our restoration project.
Mm-hmm.
And you see an adult beaver, which is mama beaver, and a young one, which is biting mother beaver at a place where the young beaver shouldn't be anymore. It's November, so the beaver is more than half a year old, and mama beaver is also not lactating anymore.
Do you think you can identify the behaviors of like the personalities of the different beavers within the area of the restoration project?
Yes, they all got different personalities.
Yeah.
A lot of people think animals are all the same, basically, but it's always individuals. They are really different.
Yes, we are all different. I'm not.
I want to know about how beavers mate then. Like, how do different beavers meet each other to start their families?
The typical beaver family is the parents. They stay together forever, for their whole lives.
That's sweet.
And 2 years of kids. So it's 1 to 4 kids a year. In most cases it's 2. They leave the territory of the parents in the age of 2 or 3.
Okay.
And then swim out and in search of their own territory and mate.
Wow.
They can really swim far, far away. There are documented cases where it's like 200 kilometers.
Okay.
So it can really be far away, but if there's space left, it can be like right next to the parents' territory.
Do they hibernate?
No.
Or they don't. They're active
They
throughout
don't.
the whole winter.
But they prepare a lot for winter. They got like an underwater fridge in front of the lodge where they put sticks in the mud at the bottom of the stream. They can just dive out of the lodge, get some sticks and dive back in.
Oh, wow.
So if it's really covered with ice, they don't have to break through the ice.
Is that something they could do, or is ice pretty dangerous to a beaver?
They can do it. They even gnaw on ice and they push on ice. But yeah, if it's really cold and it's a thick layer of ice, they always try to keep a hole open.
Beavers are smarter than I, because I would not prepare for that. I would definitely be caught out by the ice. We watched some footage, but mostly you listen to beavers and you record them. How are you doing this, and what are your sort of sound recording techniques for listening to the beavers?
Like with most wildlife, it's spending a lot of time.
Yeah?
It's basically sitting there and getting to know each other. Of course, they know you are there outside. They will smell you, they will hear you. So the main thing is to be accepted as a harmless neighbor. The technical side is, as beaver lodges mostly have underwater entrances, they often have a ventilation system. They have vent holes, keep them open, and it's pretty small, 1 to 2 centimeters sometimes. And that's the place where you can place a microphone. And of course it has to be tiny. I always use like electret microphones like this
like
one.
these, like a little lab
Similar.
or something? Yeah.
And the one special thing is a little forked willow stick where you can place the microphone at the forked end and thread in the microphone into the lodge.
That's amazing. And when you're recording, are you outside actively listening, or do you leave it to record for a while and come back and collect it?
I'm actively there listening.
Yeah.
In the beginning I've tried to leave it inside, but it doesn't work that long. They built on top of it, from the outside of the lodge and from the inside, and the
Wow.
cable is.
That's so
Yeah, and
funny.
we didn't know each other that well in the beginning.
So when you're listening to them, what are you getting a sense of when you hear them inside the lodge?
It feels very familiar.
Uh-huh.
It feels like everything happening in there could happen in one of our flats. Yeah, there's everything. They sneeze a lot, they snore, the little ones don't want to sleep, the adults breathing heavily so they can calm them down a bit, and you hear beaver kids having stomach problems.
It feels like your own family sitcom, you know, like you'd watch like, I don't know, like a Malcolm in the Middle or something like that, but for beavers. That sounds great.
But a lot of ethical questions came up, of course, too,
Yeah.
because it's their private sphere.
Yeah?
And I'm intruding
Yeah.
the most private areas of them, and it's of course a true factor, and I wouldn't do it at randomly any lodge I come by.
Mm-hmm.
It's a decision. You have to spend time there, and you have to be dedicated. It won't work anyway if you're not accepted as the harmless neighbor.
You're right. We wouldn't respond to it very well if someone came by and listened through the door to whatever was happening in our flats. But by getting to know these beavers and being accepted, you've been given a little bit of a window into their lives. So that must feel like quite a special position for you.
Yeah, and after years of recording this one particular family, they really got so used to it. Like there were like beavers sleeping on the microphone, and I couldn't leave because the beaver was sleeping. I couldn't pull it out, and I got like 2 hours of recordings of sounds of the stomach, and then he wakes up and is taking a stick, and it sounds pretty crazy through the body of the
Yeah.
beaver.
Speaking of sticks, you've brought in some sticks, and I'd love to get to know them. What are these sticks, and why are they different? What do they mean to the beavers?
That's two classic examples we bring to our beaver walks. You can clearly see the teeth marks
Wow.
all over it. They don't eat wood, they just eat the cambium, the nutrient-rich layer behind the bark. Then they use the rest as building material, and even way bigger logs they cut through basically like in meter pieces.
Do you mind if I have a look at it?
For sure.
It's so interesting. I had no idea. I don't know why it had never occurred to me that they're actually eating it for nutrients, the layer under the bark. I really thought that they were just using it for tools. So is it a significant portion of their diet? Like, is it a
In
lot?
winter, yes.
In winter?
When there's not much other food.
Yeah.
In summer they eat more than 300 different plants. But the first times I discovered the beavers talking inside of the lodge, I really thought they were like singing. It was 4 to 5 beavers singing together.
You say talking. Are you able to identify different patterns or types of beaver vocalization, or different purposes or when they make certain sounds?
Yes, there were a few typical sounds. You can clearly say that there is a growling like a lot of mammals, and it's meaning the same thing, like not being amused. They do a lot of different sounds, basically. It's a wide range from very high-pitched noises to very low. The normal beaver sounds always sound a bit like, of course it's a human interpretation, like mourning. So it's always like
All right, let's talk about the ultimate tool, which is the beaver's teeth. What are the teeth made of? Because they seem, I don't know, I've heard them described as iron or things like that.
Yes.
There are iron?
They have a layer of iron, yeah.
That's amazing. I thought that was
but
just
also some softer parts, so it's
Oh.
sharpening itself.
So how long does it take for a beaver to take a tree down?
Depends on the size, of course. But in a few nights they can really take down a big tree.
That's amazing.
They're really busy as a beaver. Is not just a...
Do beavers play any role in firefighting?
Yes, especially in North America there are a lot of studies about this. But I saw a posting on social media of a firefighting department somewhere in a rural area in Upper Austria. They talked about being happy that there is a beaver pond because there is no water anywhere else. So if the surrounding houses would catch fire,
They'd be saved by the beaver, basically. I guess you're trying to make people more aware of the benefits that beavers bring to even our human areas where we make people.
Yes, wildfires are not that big thing in Austria, but our restoration site, it's drought prevention. They invented water engineering millions of years ago.
Amazing.
And basically everything we do in water engineering is similar to things beavers do.
That's so cool that we can really learn from beavers in ways and should.
Yes, we definitely should.
Yeah.
When beavers move in, they can really change an area really quickly, and they create a lot of different habitats on a small stretch of stream.
It's so amazing to see how they change their environment around them. And it's so cool to hear about how you support and learn from them. I want to say thank you so much for coming in and sharing your insights about these amazing creatures who we're lucky to call neighbors. And maybe, hopefully, people hearing this will pay a little bit more attention to how their environment is shaped by these awesome animals. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to link to everything from the Beaver Lab in our description so you can find out more about the project. Can you also hear the recordings on the website? Yeah, you're going to hear directly from the beaver families, hear what's all about, and see these amazing resources for yourself. Thank you so much for listening to Not a Biologist. For more, check out our channel and check out our Patreon for extended episodes. We'll catch you next time.